Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is a video that I guess will kind of kickstart the few videos that I do at the end of the year, as do a lot of us, where we discuss um, you know, our year on YouTube or our year listening to music, what have you. This particular video is going to be the precursor to those other videos. I'm going to do a video about favorite releases. I'm going to do a video about favorite reissues and that kind of thing. So there are at least two other year-end videos that I'm doing, but this is the first. This is just kind of a recap of my year here on YouTube and how I think the channel is going, what kind of fun things have happened this year while I've been, putting out content for you all. It's just been a really interesting year with channel growth and that sort of thing. So first of all, what I want to say is thank you to everybody that has subscribed this year. I saw recently on social media, I think it was 3 years ago, I hit the 1,000 subscriber mark. Now, though that's slow growth for, a lot of channels out there that are, particularly channels that are specific to an artist, I feel like those channels often are going to grow a lot faster than, a little channel like mine that, I can't, I can't pigeonhole myself to just talk about one artist. I've got to talk about whatever I'm into. I've got to talk about, this and that. My channel name is Americana Sam. But, I talk a lot more about other types of music than just Americana. So that's just, how I like to go about my channel, is to talk about whatever music I'm into. But all I have to say is, I've picked up a few hundred subscribers this year. I am, I've got goals behind the scenes that I haven't yet achieved. Hopefully 2026 I will get there. And again, just trying to figure out YouTube like the rest of you all, of, what works, what doesn't work. If something I think doesn't works, then I try it again and it doesn't work. Like it doesn't make any sense. But I just want to thank everybody who has subscribed, who has watched, who has commented, who has shared the videos. I do appreciate each and every one of you that takes time out of your day to watch me ramble about, some acoustic album that you've never heard of. So thank you so much for doing that for me. This year was a big one for me. I got married back in July, so I moved from my apartment to this house. It was my wife's house. She had been here for several years, and very fortunate that we didn't have to worry about buying a house in addition to getting married. But as a result of that, I had to move about an hour 45 north of where I was. So I'm a little bit further from some of the other places that I would get records, and concert venues that I used to go to, that sort of thing. So it's been a change with that, musically. Thankfully, where I live, there are about triple the amount of record stores, so at least three than what I had back home. So it's been an adjustment to get kind of the lay of the land, and figure out what places do I like to go to shop for music and that sort of thing. So again, as a result of that, I've had to move everything here. So there's a reason that you haven't seen me kind of in a consistent area of the house yet. Obviously around Christmas time, I always like to be in front of the Christmas tree. But yeah, my music room still has a lot of cleaning that needs to happen. That's probably not going to happen until January, just because of going out of town and that sort of thing. So hopefully early in the next year I can finally do a room tour, because I have set up a lot of good stuff down in the basement, and I'm excited to make that kind of the permanent location. But in the meantime, I've been listening to records up in the home office upstairs, and I've essentially just been hanging on to the records that I can listen to in the day that I keep up there with me. So I'm moving up and down the stairs a lot. We're in a townhouse, so lots of stairs, and I'm trying to avoid falling down, which I did do not too long ago. But anyway, that's gonna hopefully be sometime in the new year that I can finally settle into the basement downstairs. So be on the lookout for that. Um, yeah, I am just very, very happy to, um, give you some, again, updates about the channel and that sort of thing. Um, it was a great joy to see several of my YouTube friends in person this year. I had two that came to my wedding. Um, Tommy over at Tommy's Musical Adventures. I love Tommy. Been to his house several times. I've met up with him for record crawls. We saw Electric Light Orchestra together back last October in 2024. So very thankful to know Tommy, to call him a dear friend. And yeah, I was able to see him at my wedding. And hopefully we'll get to see him sometime next year in person as well. I got to see my buddy Glenn Kellaway from the basement. He came and visited my apartment a few months before I moved out. We hadn't seen each other for a couple of years in person. We've done all sorts of collaborations together, but haven't been together in person. But he was driving back down to Florida to visit his daughter. He brought his banjo. We recorded a few tunes and just had a really good time together. I'm very thankful for Glenn. He's somebody I never thought I was going to meet in person. He lives all the way up in Ontario. I was, Southwest Virginia. And the fact that we've been together 3 or 4 times in person is just remarkable. I think it's fantastic. So very happy to have Glenn in my life and to call him a friend as well. And then lastly, for people that I've seen in person this year, I got to see my buddy Alex a few different times this year. That's Alex over at Beer and Vinyl. Alex came to my apartment earlier in the year. It's the second time I think that he had come and stayed with me. Went to a record show, had some, junk food and, a few drinks. It's always a good time to hang out with Alex. Then Alex also was able to come down to my wedding. He kind of did the unthinkable, drove down the day of from Columbus, stayed the night, and then turned around and went back home. So, the fact that he did that for me, just to see me for just a few minutes on my wedding day, was really, really sweet. And I do appreciate you, Alex, so much. And then I got to go hang out with Alex just last month in November. Got to go up to his place. We saw Paul McCartney together. We saw the Wood Brothers together. We did all sorts of record crawling and spending too much money on, junk food and records. But it was a blast. We had so much fun. And I'd never been to Columbus or Ohio for that matter. So it was nice to have Alex kind of show me around where he likes to hang out. So thank you, Alex, for hosting. That was just a highlight of my year. Those videos that I did with you, some of my favorite of the year. And speaking of, I've done a lot of different collaborations with people this year on YouTube. A lot of different hosts have invited me to their channels. I've had people on my channel. And I've just got names of people that were hosting videos that I was either a part of or invited to my channel. My buddy Brian Massey's Main Entertainment. We had a short-lived series together. Hopefully, maybe we can bring it back where we kind of recommended an album to the other guy and discussed it. And I've been on Brian's show a couple different times. So Brian, hope you're doing well, man. I mentioned Glenn earlier, all sorts of stuff with Glenn. Rich Strickler, one of my best friends here on YouTube. Again, one of those guys I know outside of YouTube as well. Just a really, really great guy. Really cares a lot about his friends. And yeah, I've done all sorts of videos with Rich. Too many to count. But I love Rich. Rich, thank you, man. Always happy to do videos with you when we can do it. Rob over at Northern Revolutions. I've been on Rob's live stream several times. The Wednesday night live stream that he's been doing now for several years. I used to be a part of it. Life got busy. I couldn't do it anymore on a regular basis. But yeah, always happy to be invited back and to hop on that show with him and Daryl and Joe anytime that I can. So Rob, thank you. I mentioned Alex, again, all sorts of stuff with Alex. Larry Graves, Canadian Stud Muffin. I've been on his channel. I did a Beach Boys video with him. Met a great guy through Larry Graves named Giggins, who has a YouTube channel. He discusses all things Beach Boys, all things 60s. Lots of fun music tastes. I think he's got a great channel. One of my favorites on YouTube. And I was able to kind of get contact info with Giggins, and we did a video on my channel talking about the Monkees. And so that was really fun to do. Talk to him a good bit off camera, realize we have a lot in common. So he's one of those guys I'd love to meet you in person, man. Thank you so much for doing that on the channel. Chance, concert buddy, invited me to his podcast, Surface Noise, just a few weeks ago. I was able to do that. Met a lot of people on there that know a lot more about music than I do. But it was nice to be included. So Chance, thank you so much, man. Steve Westman, the big audiophile guy, if you want to know anything about the next audiophile reissue, Steve Westman's your dude. He has been very nice, interested in my channel. I appreciate him seeing, potential in my channel. He's got a huge channel, so just nice to be, noticed by, those bigger channels like, Westman, Larry Graves, all these guys that, don't have to worry about smaller channels, but they do because they're interested in what we're doing. So, Steve, thank you so much. Ben Rankins, I did a fun video with Ben. He interviewed me on his channel, and hopefully one day we can do another video together because we got along very well. It was really fun. So Ben, thank you, man. Jeff Witcher, Jeff Witcher's Vinyl Destination. He had a live stream. I jumped on about halfway through one day with Aaron Mutha Alamayer. Got to do a video with him. That was great. So Jeff, one of the nicest guys out there, very supportive guy, very humble guy. So thank you, Jeff. And then lastly, French Vinyl Addict, FVA, up there in Montreal, who actually helped me a lot getting plans for, tourist sites that he recommended in Montreal when I visited in July. He was very helpful getting me names of restaurants, hikes, stores, all this good stuff. And so he's just a really sweet guy. FEA, thank you so much, man. And then, like I said, there's all sorts of people that were on these streams that I got to, talk with over the year. And, you know who you are, Chris Prophy, Randall Nelson, Doc, like I said, Aaron Mutha Alamayer, JC at the flip side, all of these different people that, I've done videos with that have been on camera. Brian, Embryonic Robot. I think I did a video with Steve, maybe. A is for Alice, B is for Bob. Anyway, if I didn't do a video with any of you people, I support your channels and I comment and I do all that stuff. So they're all great channels. But anyway, lots of cool collaborations. But one of the big things that I wanted to do with my channel this year was to bring you content that was informative and insightful. I've kind of pulled away from a lot of the threads and the contest, even though I'm currently running a contest myself that goes until January the 5th. I've just wanted to put out other types of content that, it's not just me doing threads. And again, I have nothing against the threads. There are many of them out there and people do them far better than I do. But I just don't have the time to do it. And, if you're somebody that, I really, watch on a regular basis and somebody that I consider a really good friend, then, I'll jump on more than likely. But even then, it's not a guarantee. I just, unfortunately, don't have the time to do it with the content that I also want to be getting out to you all. And one of the things that I said back in January of this year was I wanted to put out collaborations, and I did that this year. I think I did a lot of really fun collaborations. Maybe I would like to host a few more. I've had issues with streaming this year where there was all sorts of issues on the technical side with StreamYard and things like that. So hopefully I'll get something figured out. Might have to buy some sort of streaming service. I don't know. If you know of anything, let me know. StreamYard just has not been good. It's been very glitchy. So hopefully if that's resolved, I can then invite more of my friends on my channel. But also I wanted to put out artist interviews. I wanted to do interviews with people that I think that I could reach out to and talk to them about music. And I was very lucky and was able to do this 7 times this past year. Started about in March or April. I was able to talk with Seth Walker. I just reached out to him, said, "Hey Seth, this is who I am. This is what I do. Big fan of Americana." He's collaborated with the Wood Brothers, one of my favorite groups. Made connections, got his info, and we were able to do an interview. And he was just a really nice guy. And from that, I kind of had this like string of good fortune and connection that worked out with, all these different interviews. I was able, after Seth, I reached out to Tommy James of Tommy James and the Shondells. That was probably my favorite video of the year. Even though there were some technical difficulties behind it, I was able to talk with Tommy James, a living legend. he had these great hits: Crimson and Clover, Crystal Blue Persuasion, Mony Mony, The Hanky Panky, you know, Dragging the Line. And I was able to talk to him for, he would have talked to me, I think, for over an hour, but, I try to keep it about 30 minutes, not just for their interest, but for the interest of my viewers as well, especially some of these artists that, may not have the same appeal that somebody like Tommy James does, though they're all nonetheless talented, and I appreciate them all in their own right. But yeah, talking to Tommy James, fantastic. If you haven't seen it, I've got it pinned at the top of my homepage on my channel. Check it out. Sweet guy. It was fantastic. I got to talk to Tommy James of Tommy James and the Shondells. Then, again, because I was reaching out to several people, I had a lot of people tell me no, which is fine. Lots of no's. Lots of people that, I almost made it to the interview, but then last minute plans changed and it just never happened, which I was to expect. And, you got to cast a wide net. And I did that. And I think as a result, I was able to kind of make myself known in a few of these press boxes for these different artists and these different managers. And as a result, I had people reaching out to me, which was not expected at all. Again, smaller artists, a lot of them, independent artists, but really cool and all have a neat story to tell. People like, that I got to talk with. I got to talk with Drew Pulliam, a young guy out of Nashville. Had a fun time talking to him. Ben Arnold, who's put out a solo record. His bigger group is a group called US Rails. Very cool guy. Talked to him off camera a lot. A dude that I would definitely like to hang out with one of these days. Megan and the Birdwatcher. They were the first band that have ever actually sent me a record, a physical record to have, just because I talked to them. And I think that was just so kind to them. And they were one of those groups, I didn't know about them. But then all of a sudden, once I interview them, I hear them on our local, college radio independent station. They're playing their songs all the time. And, the fact that they're kind of starting to make, to expand themselves in the festival circuit and all this good stuff was really, really cool. I'm like, well, I'm kind of at the ground, zero of this career. And I think that was really, really cool. So Megan and the Birdwatcher, couple other artists that I really wanted to talk to and was very happy to get their information. Danny Ayala, who's the bassist of the Lemon Twigs. He put out an album this year, produced by the Lemon Twigs. Very, again, power pop, psych pop kind of stuff. Really, really cool guy up in New York. Talked to him, talked about the solo record, talked about his touring, talked about the Lemon Twigs because at, different stages of my life, the Lemon Twigs music has really played, pretty crucial parts, especially in this last year. So it was really cool to kind of tell him that. And I think that was really neat that he gave me that time. And then lastly, I got to talk with, again, a really exciting guy for me, Jono Ricks, who's the percussionist of the Wood Brothers. He's the third member of the Wood Brothers. He had an album out this year as a duo with his dad called Legacy Volume 1. Some originals, some covers of great tunes. It's like Alan Toussaint, if you like that kind of stuff. If you like the band, if you like, kind of almost like psyche, kind of funk kind of stuff. Two great percussionists. His dad is Luther Ricks, who played with Bob Dylan and Leonard Cohen, has played on Broadway, and orchestral pits. He's played with everybody. So again, great to talk with all these people. Great that I've been trusted with so many of these artists to do their interviews. But it's been a year. It's been fun. It's been challenging here on YouTube with a lot of different things. I'm doing my best to put out content that I enjoy doing, but also that I think you'll enjoy as well, without selling out. And I think there's gonna be more artist interviews this year. I'm trying to work on a few that maybe might come to fruition. I would love to interview lots of these people. I would love to interview anybody that's got new albums coming out next year that I think would be interesting for the channel. And like I said, I want to do more collaborations and all that stuff. Hopefully, bring you more maybe music live streams. I know I did that a lot in the past, but with moving and then preparing for the wedding, I just did not have time to do a lot of that. But yeah, it's been a good year. Yeah, and again, hopefully the channel will continue to grow. Hopefully, you'll stick with me, spread the word about the channel, and again, hopefully, we reach that 2,000 subscribers mark. I would love to get there earlier rather than later. Just there's nothing special about it other than that it's a milestone, and it's been several years since I hit that 1,000 mark. So we're moving. It's slow, but we're moving, and as long as we're moving in that direction, I'm fine with that. But yeah, again, thank you all so much for watching. This is a longer video. Again, I've got a couple more for the end of the year coming up with album releases and reissues. So stick with me on those. Thank you all again so much. I'll see you again before Christmas, but I'll go ahead and say Merry Christmas to everybody that celebrates. Thank you all again for the support. I do appreciate it. So that does it for me. In the meantime, y'all be good, take care, and we will see you on the next one. Bye now.